And it's yet another hat. Right, I did make a couple, but I car crashed badly in one of them. But it was still like about 9.5 minutes long. And I'm going to hope to sort of consolidate the points that I made. So I was basically talking about, like, just a bit of recognition over the fact that, you know, read anything on Elvanse and it is specified for treatment of ADHD and occasionally binge eating. And my doctor, who I'm not gonna research what he says to me, I'm just gonna take as whatever, because I know what, once you start researching things, you can find whatever evidence you fucking like, basically. Um, but he said there's no treatment. He said I'm only not giving you a formal diagnosis, a written diagnosis of it, because if I do, I then have to say what I'm treating you with for it, and there's not really a treatment for it. Not specifically, and so they're not going to help with that. So I'm still going to get misinterpreted. I'm still going to misinterpret people. I'm still going to have all my problems with communication. Well, not all of them, actually. Not all of them, because this stuff should help with at least a bit of my focus. But it's the what was it? It's the not knowing when it's my turn to speak. When it's more than, say, 2 or 3 people in a conversation, that's when I would sort of feel lost. But what was actually happening is my brain is going, I can't communicate anymore. And that was what was the feeling lostness. So just recognizing that makes me sort of have to, I don't know, just recognize it. Just recognize it and say it to people like it's normal. That's what I've been doing with loads of this stuff. People aren't always comfortable with it, but then just the more I keep talking about it like it's normal, they'll get comfortable with it, won't they? Everyone does. Eventually, everyone shall. And until then, keep it smooth. My mate listens to Smooth in exactly the same way as me, in a sort of slightly ironic way. Um, and he said, "Oh yeah, what was it? Sunday afternoon loving or whatever it was." And I was like, "No, I've not heard that." I was like, I'm new to Smooth." I'll tell you why I'm new to Smooth. I was literally just I wanted to scroll through to see how many miles I had left, and it's on a separate screen to the thing. But I pressed the mode button and it just changed the thing from phone to radio. And smooth. There it was. But yeah, so anyway, back to the point I was trying to make. So that kind of recognition of the fact that, oh, it's not going to treat this. I know a lot of people would say, why do you have to keep focusing on yourself as a personality disorder? And it's like, again, what that is an objective interpretation of something. And it's like, it's asking that person to explain why they're saying that. It's like it misdirects the conversation. Because for me, it's like I often get misinterpreted as speaking negatively. I'm like, no, what I need to do is I can look at how ADHD, EUPD, and schizotypal gang up on each other. Because I've got over here, the ADHD makes me hypersensitive to criticism. And then the EUPD makes me hyper-reactive to criticism and highly emotional. And then the schizotypal makes me unable to interpret whether something is criticism or not, and get it wrong a lot of the time. But what I'm looking at is this. If I focus on the fact that this medicine is for organizing my thoughts, completing my tasks, just keeping my head steady, all of those kinds of things, the sorts of things I'm talking about, or have been talking about and experiencing, because the lack of the ability to do these tasks has been contributing greatly to my emotional state, along with all the other fucking irons in the fire and what the fuck else, right? But as discussed with Blooperty himself, And how I don't know if this is in one of the videos that got deleted actually, but I'll kind of say that the schizotypal is if I step back from myself, I'll just think that it is subconscious. It wasn't decided upon. It wasn't planned for and got or anything. But it is a manifestation of basically like some sort of mental happy place, a place where I can exist as me and make sense to me, and just be. You see. Um, and there's a lot of shit behind that, but it's just basically right. So it's like he said, if you like it, keep it. It's in many ways a coping strategy, as I've commented before. Right. So then if there's less emotional turmoil to deal with, then there should be less schizotypicality as a result of that. Or, you know, these all three can kind of manifest on their own, or they can manifest around each other. It's why I end up crying in waiting rooms and shouting in public and not caring what people think anymore, with tears running down my eyes and limping madly with a bright red face. You know, it's shit like that I'm doing shamelessly in fucking public because I just can't fucking control it. And it's over fuck alls because I need a piss. Shit like that. Shit like that. And then that sets everything off because then, you know, if you are drawing attention to yourself in that negative way, then you're thinking, shit, have I just frightened someone or pissed someone off? And then that sets off the schizotypal and all the paranoia and, oh my flipping God, I only went for milk. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm on about. So, like, if I'm keeping level-headed about it, I've done nowhere near the task that I did yesterday, but that's cool. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been doing some beard topiary or tapiary, whatever it is. You can't really see it in this light. I'm hoping it will show up, but I've trimmed these bits down, and that's gone thin. But that was because I did my squares, and all it did was show the extent of how badly my squares have been done. So like now it'll grow from there and be in line. And I've got a new beard goal. I've ditched the waggly stick beard. What the fuck did you let me even talk about that for? Now it's going to be two big wisps. It really doesn't show up with this daylight coming through. But the front bits of that are quite blonde. I'm just thinking I'm going to have this nice line that goes down there and down there. And these little things are matching the little curl ups on my lashes. So I'm very pleased with it. And I let that happen and was just like, mate, just be creative. Just have a little fun. Why not? And I spent a lot of time combing it. Used a comb as a fucking hair clip to pin my fucking whiskers out the way and shave. And I was getting really fucking meticulous with it. And I fucked up a little bit, but not that much. And it will grow perfectly from here. From hitherforth with, it shall sprout goodly. Like my head is bonkers. My head is bonkers. I'm not presenting as bonkers exteriorly. I had to move some of my shopping around when I was in the laundrette. And you know that tune, does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way, right? You know that next bit? So as soon as I open my fucking bag, there's a can of White Monster in there. And as I saw it, just went, the White Monster! Ding, 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 ding. And I was like, what the fuck? It was like I just listened to the thought. But it was like that. It always baffles me when shit like that happens. It's like, bang on, it was me fucking thinking it. It had to be me thinking it for it to be a thought in me, within me. But I didn't think it. It just happened. And oh my God, there was another one. It was like, do you ever get repeating phrases that go over and over in your head? Because there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. It's when you've been, for instance, when you've been knocked out or you're losing consciousness, your brain will often play something annoying over and over again to keep you conscious. And to make you irritated a little bit, and it helps keep you conscious. Apparently, I've heard that. You can Google that if you like. There's some homework for you. But I know I get it, and I get it in the mornings. And I think, again, it's like it's probably the bit that's trying to wake me up, but then it just stays because the bit that's supposed to switch it off isn't acting. That's why, that's why a lot of my emotions can't just be switched off. Like, just can't. But it was just one of those little melodies that just rolled over. Very annoying one. And it was just, there was words to it. And it was just the bit where it was fucking, and the hen who stabbed Len with a pen in the den. Fucking, what the fuck? And I was pulling my fucking laundry out of the machine at the time, and this shit's going on inside my head. And I just was standing there, and I was like, like when you laugh at something that's just a really bad joke, but it's just so fucking silly the way they say it. Oh my God, fucking shut up. That's what I was laughing like that. And it wasn't, I'm thinking to myself, but like, I thought of my friend. She occasionally watches these. She always comments upon one of the things she likes about me is that I laugh at my own jokes. She finds it very endearing that I crack a joke and that the enthusiasm with which I laugh at my own joke. But I was like, well, technically, it's not really my own joke because it's not even a joke. It's just the thing that I was like, was I listening to it? I was subject to whatever the awareness of it was. I get lost with all that shit, don't you? All that. Am I conscious that I'm aware or aware that I'm conscious? What is my consciousness? Does it generate my thoughts? Do I think that they are? But, do you know what? All of that shit, that weird sounding shit, are at the root of what I believe turned me fucking schizotypal. The time that Dr. Bleeperty referred to, it said that you were starting to reject the idea of yourself. And to hear that from someone with his sort of knowledge, and then to take that test that said delusional, and I comment on it's a little bit low, and he said that's massive for delusional. It was the last one in the graph. If that was any higher, you'd have to have full-on schizophrenia. I'm like, So, what was I saying? That was the thing that... Oh, have I done it again? Have I fucking car crashed again? I think I might have done. But I think this one is probably worth saving. Yeah. Let's just... I'll watch this back and then I'll remind myself whatever the fuck I was talking about.